Hello and welcome to the shop. My name is Tracy Maxfield and today we are going to be making blast gates. And just a little bit before we get into the build of the blast gates, let me show you how I plumbed this in. I used, on the back of my table saw, I used a 45-degree 2-inch coupling and a 2-inch straight coupling. And this black line, which is a dust collection line, it's 2-inch flexible line. I got it at Workshop Tools. It comes in 10-foot sections, and I ran that up, joining each piece with a 2-inch coupling. There's another one right up there, and I just took zip ties and put a 3-inch 90 up there and run the hose through it to keep from collapsing it in my turns. And then, of course, a piece of 3-inch pipe, I drilled a couple of holes in it, took a zip tie, went through those holes and around that rafter up there. Did the same thing here. And then another 90 right there. And then another piece of 3-inch pipe, hooked the same way, and run that down to the blast gate. Now I'll have to come over to this wall to be able to turn my dust collection on and off to my table saw, but I figured that would be better to do that than it would be to have it on the back of the saw, where I plan on putting a outfeed table and have to reach up and under that table all the time. The table saw is used the most, and it will just stay on, and if I need to turn it off to operate any of the other tools, then I will be over here by these other tools anyway. And this is the 3-inch PVC trunk line that I had in the other shop. And of course I've made that blast gate there and used a piece of that hose, just put a hard piece of 2-inch pipe on it so I can clamp that down to the top of this drill, and that one operates this drill. Of course that one there is the table saw, and then coming around the bandsaw I have a blast gate on it, and it goes straight into the back of the bandsaw. The next one is in this line. I've just got it kind of strung up there right now, but that's the one that I'm going to use to reach over to the joiner and the planer. And then, of course, the router table, it has a line and a blast gate, and then there's a blast gate on the far end of that pipe for the spindle sander. Alright, next let's go over the materials that I used. This is 5/8 inch thick plywood and 1/8 inch thick hardboard. I used 2-inch PVC couplings, cut those in half. Also used liquid nails because 5-minute epoxy would not hold this vacuum line, so I used liquid nail on it. I lined both these pieces up, the hardboard and the plywood, cut them both at one time, put my saw guide on it, marked this at 6 inches. I'll need just a little bit extra to make the handles. The blast gates are going to be 4 inches wide, and the handles for it will be 1 inch wide. Then after I get that cut off, I set my table saw fence at 4 inches and run that piece through that I cut off. And then I cut that narrow strip that's left over down to 1 inch wide, and I raised my blade about 3 inches in depth and line my fence up so that I'm cutting directly across the middle of that to make a groove in it. And you'll want to flip that around and resaw it again just so that your center, but be careful and don't move your fence. If you do move it, have to move it to make it wide enough. Don't get it too wide because you've got an 1/8 inch piece of hardboard to go in the middle of that. Then you go over I went over to the miter saw and used stop blocks, got everything lined up, and just you can make repeated cuts. I was making a total of 4 blast gates. Then just use a square, some type of straight edge, and go corner to corner and get you a mark in the middle of your piece.
Here's the measurements on all the pieces that I used in my blast gates. These plywood blocks are 4 by 4, 4 inches by 4 inches. The gate itself is going to be 8.5 inches in length, and it will be 3 inches in width. I failed to get that filmed, cutting that out, and you'll need these little strips. They are going to be a 1/2 inch wide and 4 inches long. Pre-drill and countersink holes in your 4 pieces of plywood, and kind of just semi put this together. That way everything lines up when you take it over to your drill press. I used a 2 1/4 inch hole saw. I couldn't cut all the way, drill all the way through it in one pass, so I had to drill halfway, flip it over, and drill again. Then I take those screws back out, take this small strip out, and put blue painter's tape on both sides of it to give just a little bit of relief so that trap will go open and shut. Then took it over the sander and just cleaned everything up. Next, I put some glue in that slot that we cut in that earlier, and used a pin nailer just to brad nailer just to fasten it down. Next, I mixed up some 5-minute epoxy. And put a good bead on this 2-inch coupling. Of course, you cut that in half. You put half of it on each side of the blast gate. Put a good bead on it, that way you get a good seal on it.
And that will do it for this video. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope that's helpful to you. I've made these, I saw some video on YouTube, some guy had made these, and I think he used something else besides hardboard, I don't remember. But anyway, I just kind of threw together what I had. Of course, I had to go buy some plywood since I moved. A lot of my extra wood had just got gone. But anyway, they work real good. And when you put those on, of course, you'll cut that coupling in half and use 5-minute epoxy or whatever you choose to put those on. But when you put your plumbing to it, you will want to turn, this hardboard has a smooth side and has a rough side. You will want to turn that smooth side toward the vacuum. Your dust wants to come in from the rough side, and your vacuum will want to come from the smooth side, and that it will make it seal when that air hits it. When you've got it shut, when you've got that blast gate cut off, it will pull against that and it seals real good. If you turn it this way, you will get just a little bit of loss of vacuum on it. So just turn that smooth side of that hardboard, turn that side towards your vacuum, and you'll be all right. But, they work real good. It takes just a little bit of moving back and forth. Put that blue painter's tape or something on those little shims that's in the side of it, and it gives it just enough relief. And after you've worked them several times, they loosen up, and they work real great. And you can make them whatever size you want. If you wanted to use 1.5 inches, or if you wanted to do the 2-inch like I've done for this one, I've actually got some that are 3-inch. I don't have those hooked up, but you could go up to 3-inch, you could go up to 4-inch, you could go up 6-inch, whatever size that you wanted to make. And you can actually build these a lot cheaper than what you can buy them. And these they work fine. They work great. I don't have any issues with them at all. Of course, all of my plumbing is just pressure fitted together, and none of that stuff is glued together. I don't have any issues with leaks or nothing, and I'm using just a shop vac on mine and a dust empty, and it works great. But anyway, I hope that's helpful to you. Any questions or anything like that, leave them in the comments below. And as always, thanks for watching.